Growth of Islamophobia, a historical perspective. Islamophobia has deep historical roots that continue to shape contemporary society. Its origins can be traced back to the medieval period, particularly during the Crusades, 1096-1291. The Crusades were religious wars initiated by the Latin Church in medieval Europe, aiming to reclaim Jerusalem and other holy lands from Muslim control. Christians encountered Muslims as significant military adversaries, and Christian leaders often depicted Muslims as infidels and enemies of the faith, justifying the Crusades. Here I will request you to please subscribe the channel in case the video meet you expectations. Medieval European literature and art reinforced these negative portrayals. Works like The Song of Roland depicted Muslims as barbaric and deceitful, emphasizing an existential conflict between Christianity and Islam. These depictions were based more on religious and cultural prejudices than on an understanding of Islamic beliefs and practices. In the Iberian Peninsula, the Reconquista, 711-1492, was the effort by Christian kingdoms to reconquer territory taken by Muslims since the early 8th century. The Reconquista culminated in 1492 with the fall of Granada, the last Muslim stronghold in Spain. This period was marked by significant cultural and military conflict, with Christian leaders framing the struggle as a divine mission to rid the peninsula of Islam. Following the Reconquista, the Spanish Inquisition, established in 1478, sought to root out heresy and consolidate Christian dominance. Muslims, along with Jews, were forced to convert to Christianity, leave Spain, or face severe persecution. Those who converted were often still viewed with suspicion, leading to the development of the limpieza de sangre, purity of blood laws, which discriminated against those of Muslim and Jewish ancestry. During European colonialism, Islamophobia was further entrenched as European powers expanded into Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. Colonizers often portrayed Muslim societies as backward and in need of Western enlightenment and governance, justifying colonial exploitation and control. For instance, British and French colonial administrators in India and North Africa depicted Islam as a barrier to progress and modernity. The intellectual movement known as Orientalism emerged in the 18th and 19th centuries, characterized by Western scholarship on the cultures, languages, and histories of the East. However, this scholarship often reinforced stereotypes of Muslims as exotic, irrational, and inferior. Edward Said's seminal work, Orientalism, 1978, critiques this body of knowledge, arguing that it served to justify and perpetuate Western dominance over Muslim lands. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, racial theories that categorized humanity into hierarchies of races also impacted perceptions of Muslims. Muslims were often depicted as part of the Oriental race, considered less civilized and capable than Europeans. These racial theories were used to justify colonial rule and the supposed civilizing mission of European powers. After World War I, the dismantling of the Ottoman Empire, the last significant Muslim empire, led to the Middle East being divided into territories controlled by European powers. Nationalism in these regions often had to contend with Islam as a unifying force, leading to further Western suspicion and stereotyping of Muslim political movements. During the Cold War, the rise of political Islam and the Iranian Revolution of 1979 led to a renewed focus on Islam in Western political discourse. The portrayal of the Iranian regime as an irrational, fundamentalist state influenced broader perceptions of Islam as a threat to Western values and interests. The portrayal of Muslims in media plays a significant role in the growth of Islamophobia. News coverage often emphasizes extremism and violence, while neglecting the diverse and peaceful aspects of Muslim communities. Politicians and political parties have sometimes exploited Islamophobia for electoral gains. Far-right movements in Europe and North America have used anti-Muslim rhetoric to garner support, framing Muslims as a threat to national identity and security. The rise of social media has also facilitated the spread of Islamophobic content. Online platforms can amplify hate speech and misinformation, creating echo chambers that reinforce negative stereotypes. The terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, marked a significant turning point in the history of Islamophobia. The events of 9/11, carried out by extremists claiming to act in the name of Islam, reinforced fears and negative stereotypes about Muslims. The subsequent war on terror, including the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, further intensified these sentiments. Media representations often conflated Islam with terrorism, leading to widespread fear and mistrust of Muslims in the West. In recent years, the rise of far-right movements in Europe and North America has been accompanied by increased Islamophobic rhetoric. Events such as the refugee crisis, the rise of ISIS, and terrorist attacks in Western cities have been exploited by these movements to promote anti-Muslim sentiments. This has led to policies targeting Muslim communities, such as travel bans, increased surveillance, and restrictions on Islamic practices. The historical context of Islamophobia reveals a long-standing pattern of fear, misunderstanding, and hostility towards Islam and Muslims. From the medieval Crusades to modern geopolitical conflicts, negative perceptions of Islam have been shaped by religious, cultural, and political factors. Understanding this history is crucial for addressing and combating Islamophobia today. While concluding the video, I take an opportunity to remind you to like, share, comment, and also subscribe the channel. It requires acknowledging the deep-seated biases and stereotypes that have been perpetuated over centuries and promoting a more nuanced and informed perspective on Islam and Muslim communities. Addressing Islamophobia involves challenging stereotypes, promoting understanding, and fostering inclusive societies. Thank you for watching.